Welcome, brothers. Today, I want to show you how bad choices in women end up costing them dearly. The only thing that is asked of women is that they maintain their social value and choose the father of their children wisely, but they can't even do that right. Here we will see how single mothers go through a hard time if the father of their children, as one says, does witchcraft. But before we continue, brothers, we invite you to subscribe, like the video. We want to reach 50,000 subscribers, so we ask for a small contribution so the family keeps growing. We'll leave our super chat if you want to donate to the channel. Don't forget to leave us your comments. Without further ado, let's begin.
Really believe that mothers and children are like a forgotten species in our modern day society. Like, you become a mom and then suddenly you're like pushed out. Go find your mommy and me group, go figure it out on your own, and we'll see you when you can be productive again.
The job of being a mother, it feels a lot for one person because it was never meant to be for one person.
Exactly.
It was meant for a village.
A village
was
like, let's remember how to take care of our moms.
Yeah.
They need rest, they need proper nutrition, they need help, they need love, they need loving touch. They to just help them through this transition from woman to mother. Really believe that.
From their youth, women have social value. From ages 19 to 28, a woman will have access to a multitude of men who want to have something with her. But what does the woman do? Does she prepare to be a good wife or mother, choosing a man with values? She doesn't go after an emotion. Who provides those high emotions? The Chad man who only brings his seed to the table, the man who has fun with her, leaving her pregnant. Then they want the world to feel sorry for their decisions. The problem is that nobody should bear the burden of your situation when it was you who decided to have children with that man. Every woman in the world had a man at some point who truly loved her and wanted a serious relationship with her, but they ignored that man, seeing him as a loser. This happens to many men in the world who see the woman they love with another man who they know only has fun with her. But when the responsibility of a child comes, that man leaves her alone with the burden. Then they want society to help them. Then you should feel sorry for them. Then you shouldn't criticize them but help them by going out with them, because a child doesn't make her less of a woman, and it's true, but it doubles the expense. No man, no one on earth, wakes up in the morning dreaming of being a stepfather or raising Chad's children. No one wants to be the simp provider.
I found out the father of my child was doing witchcraft to me. Story time. And you can't tell a story time without the receipt, so if you think I'm lying, let the receipt speak for me. So around the time I was pregnant, even a little bit before that, I kept feeling like the father of my child was like doing something to me, but I kept telling myself I was crazy, like nobody does that stuff isn't real, like I was making myself feel like I was overthinking. Fast forward to when I'm around like 3 to 4 months postpartum, we start using his laptop to play stuff like Hey Bear, and I forget the other names of them, but like little sensory things for our daughter. So he had full knowledge that I was using his laptop. So the one day he went out with his friends, I don't know what he was doing, I don't know who he was with, I didn't call him, I didn't bother him. I took the laptop, I logged in, and as soon as he opened it, the message was sitting right in front of me. He had sent someone a picture of me from my Instagram, and this person responded, I need her full name. So the father of my child sent my entire full name, which I'm going to be showing you. After that message, this guy, brother, responded, I still need the $350. So the father of my child responds and he said, brother, I already sent it to you. In which this guy named brother sent 2 videos of doing these ritual type things. I would go into detail, but I'm just going to show you the videos. Trigger warning, some people might find this disturbing.
If I do, 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 if I do Adulte bilmiyoruz sana.
This is quite disturbing, to be honest. I've heard so many videos of single mothers that I could write a book about them. In all their stories, they were the victims. The man was the devil. Like every tale, she always emerges miraculously saved from this man. Why do I say this? It's because, as I mentioned, she seeks a cause to catapult her content. She has a whole channel talking about the father of her daughter, where she criticizes everything, from money to the divorce, from taking care of the girl. That man can't do anything right. I believe she criticizes him even for breathing. When you see all of that, it seems strange that she doesn't invent more things. Now, resorting to this so that a woman who doesn't want to be with you stays by your side is stupid. Another thing, do you think she turned on the computer and saw something like this suddenly? This looks like a WhatsApp conversation. Someone was investigating her conversations to find out if she was being cheated on, because unless this man is an idiot, I don't think he would leave something like this open on his computer. But what do you think, brother?
How I found out the father of my child was doing witchcraft to me, part 2. Everybody in part 1 keeps asking me, do I know why he was doing it to me? And yes, after the guy that he paid to do the witchcraft sent the videos of the witchcraft being done, the father of my child responded and said, what's that for? And whoever this guy was said, to protect your family. So then the father of my child responds and he says, no, I want to remove her from my life. So at this point, I had already called my best friend. I was sending her all the screenshots. She was like watching everything with me. I honestly feel like I was just in shock because I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I honestly couldn't believe that this was happening. So I waited for him to get back home. He got home, I went into a different room and I texted him, are you doing witchcraft to me? Because I wanted to see if he was gonna lie to me, and he said no. That's when I walked into the room and I showed him the videos and I was like, so what is this? And he was like, you don't know what that is, you don't know what you're talking about, don't talk about something you have no idea what you're talking about, and literally manipulated me and tried to make me think I was just crazy. So at this point, I kind of feel like I was almost disassociated, if that makes sense. I was processing everything, but I was kind of just still in shock. I mean, I used to pray over the father of my child while he was sleeping, like pray to our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and he was turning around doing witchcraft to me. So this was like a very traumatizing moment for me. So 2 months later, we ended up separating. We both got different houses, and once I moved into my house, I started building a relationship with God. I started praying every day. I started trying to gain more weight. I lost a lot of weight during that time, and now I'm going to be super vulnerable and show you guys some pictures of what I looked like when I was living with him, when he was doing the witchcraft to me, and how I look now.
It sounds like a science fiction story. We see it every day, always a woman telling a story of separation where she was always the abused one, where her life was always in danger with the man she chose to have her children with, because there always has to be a villain. This man seems somewhat desperate not to lose his marriage. It sounds like a man who was giving his all to keep a woman happy, but as every man knows, being in a household with a woman is difficult, especially after a pregnancy, when her mind is sensitive to everything. Moreover, with modern women, most of whom leave their husbands after the first child, it's a very common pattern. Now this man is to blame. 1. Because he was discovered doing something like this, and 2. For believing that by seeking witchcraft he could keep a woman by his side who doesn't want to be with him. When someone doesn't want to be with you, why fight to be chosen by them when you know they want to leave? That's a life of self-inflicted suffering. Brother, if someone wants to leave your life, painful as it may be, let them go. Your mental peace is worth more. But let's see the third part.
If you feel like someone's doing witchcraft to you, there's some obvious signs and symptoms that you could look for. If this person tells you all my exes are crazy, if they tell you I haven't talked to them in years, I haven't talked to them in months, and they're still obsessed with me, they're texting me, they're blowing up my phone, they're calling me, and the second you start talking to this person, now these girls or these guys are trying to fight you because you're talking to their ex, or they're trying to argue with you, or now they're stalking you, or they're becoming obsessed with you, it's more than likely this person did witchcraft to every single person that they've talked to. It's a major sign to look for. But if somebody's wearing red and white beads on their neck, on their wrist, on their ankle, or if they're red and green, it'll be a whole bunch of beads with one seashell there, that's a major indicator that this person is into witchcraft. Another thing to look for is if you're like just constantly thinking about this person, like you literally feel like a piece of you is like missing whenever you're not with them. You're constantly texting them, calling them, what are you doing, where are you, who you're with, are you cheating on me, like, and you just feel like this like really strong bond. More than likely they did witchcraft to you, so now you're like obsessed with them. Another big sign to look for is if you're like losing a lot of hair or you're losing a lot of weight whenever you're around this person, but whenever you're not talking to them, you're gaining weight, you're not losing hair. That's another sign they're doing witchcraft. So if you feel like somebody's doing witchcraft to you, honestly just pray. You won't have any of these symptoms happen to you.
Brothers, I don't know if you noticed, but for her to claim that someone did witchcraft to her, she knows a lot about the matter. Could it be that she did it to the man to keep her husband with her, shifting the whole narrative to her convenience? Because as I always say, every story has two sides. Now, with so many things being attributed to someone being a witch, you know, a pearl necklace is witchcraft. Wearing something red is witchcraft. If you're going bald, it's because of a witch. So, bald men losing their hair was because of their wives. I knew it was her who made me go bald. Now, a man who resorts to these things to make a woman choose to stay with him only evokes pity. This is what a simp does. You might love your family, but being next to someone who only makes you miserable, who doesn't want you for who you are, it's just being in a bad situation, fighting for a woman who only degrades you as a man. Brothers, in life, you have to have self-love. If a woman doesn't want you, you work on yourself, you find someone younger and more beautiful, you show her that you are the high-value man. You'll see how that woman comes back to you because, believe me, they all come back.
Recently, my most asked question as a single mom is when I felt comfortable to start dating, so let's unpack. If you're new here, my name's Caitlin. I'm a single mom. My baby is 6 months old. I have been single since I found out I was pregnant, which was a year and a half ago now. Yeah. I started seeing somebody at the end of June. Y'all, when I tell you I had lost all hope. I had lost all hope in love. I had no desire. The desire was not there. Like, I know there's men that date pregnant women, and there's pregnant women who, like, you know, put themselves out there to date, but there was no way I was doing that. Honestly, even right before I met the guy that I'm seeing now, I never had a desire. I wasn't seeking anything at all. This really just happened randomly. And honestly, I feel that's the best way to approach it. I just spent as much time as I could being okay with just me. Especially during my pregnancy, I didn't even have my baby yet. So I literally was forced to sit with my thoughts, with myself, not go out on dates, not entertain anybody. I literally was not receiving a single text message from a guy. Like, nothing. I wasn't DMing anybody. I wasn't flirting with anybody. My whole entire pregnancy, literally up until I met the guy I'm seeing now. I always used to think that this was BS when people said this, but seriously, when you know, you know. Because I spent so much time alone, I really trust myself. I trust my decision making. I trust my ability to read somebody and to get to know somebody and to know if that person is for me or not. And I obviously have to think about my son, and I just cannot be wasting my time, so I was not interested in that, and he came strong and very intentional. Literally, before I even went on the first date with this guy, I'm like, what would life look like with him? It sounds crazy, but as a mother, you have to think about stuff like that. Me personally, I feel that because I have my child to think about. I'm like, I'm the primary parent of my child, so like, what does he look like as a father? What would that look like? What's the vibe? What's the energy I get from him? What does his life look like? You know, like before I could even ask certain questions, I just had to look and see, like, is this going to be worth my time and my child's time? He checked off every single box before I even went on the first date with him. Again, a man with intention. I just honestly, I have such little words because everything with me and the guy I'm seeing now just is so perfectly aligned. It's like a dream, literally. In short, though, it felt right. I didn't feel like anything was forced. I didn't feel like the time was wrong or right. I'm happy that I met him and that we started things when we did. I mean, my baby is still young. He does have kids that are a little bit older. So I know like it gets a little bit trickier in that time, but you have to make sure you're at a place where you trust yourself and where you're just happy with you. So like, if things didn't work out with somebody you did start to see, you have to be okay with that and say, okay, thank you for your time, you know, and just move on. If you don't feel like you're mentally at a place where you could do that and move on with your life, I personally don't think that you would be ready. You have to be strong within yourself, especially with a child. My biggest goal with dating was to find somebody who would be an addition to my life and to Maverick's life. We don't need the stress, the tears, the arguing. I believe in fairy tale love, and I believe in a love like the one that I have now. Honestly, I lost a lot of hope. Like, I really, really did, but he definitely restored what I always knew to be true. So people are not lying when they tell you that when you know, and it will happen when you're least expecting it. But trust yourself. That's gonna be the biggest thing.
Brothers, this woman never talks about the real father. You know why? Because he's the Chad's son, probably one who enjoyed the milk but didn't buy the cow. This woman went for this man's DNA, then went for the beta provider afterward. She moved on instantly without forcing it, probably seeing that this man was the prototype of a family man. The beta provider, as he says, is a single father with grown-up children. She went for a man who knew how to raise kids, one who wouldn't bother investing in a child. It's not wrong for single parents to date each other, as both are on the same wavelength, but this confirms what I'm saying. Most women leave the father within months of the child being born. Why doesn't she say she tried to be with the real father of her child? It's because she was probably just a fling, or he was a man who wouldn't take responsibility. That's why she chose this beta provider who can provide economic security, which is likely greater than hers, like the boring or nice guy type, who can take care of Chad's child. This man is only seen for what he brings to the table, not because she loves him. You see, she says she has to see if this man is worth her time, ticking off every box before a second date. What are those boxes? Money, home, stability, a stable financial life to take care of my child. Then they say they're not looking for a father. We've reached the end of the video, but before we go, the questions are for you. Do you think this man did witchcraft to this woman? Why do you think this woman chose the beta provider? If you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. Your support means the world to us and motivates us to create more content. Stay tuned for the next exciting video from the wall.